So we are finally here at Arc 5 World Day 1, Yuya Sakaki unlocked, and there's a lot to go through this week. We have, a main box, a structure deck, Dark Magician's War I'm pretty hyped about, but we also have a selection box super mini, because apparently we need to have Rise not in the main box, that makes sense, but today we have Yuya, and they're doing some really cool things, and some things that I thought they wouldn't do with the characters, right, with regards to Master Rule 3, so we'll talk about that, but let's go through his brand new cards and skills, if they're any good, and of course there's the whole box thing, we'll try and do that sometime this week, because there's too much stuff, but let's dive right in. So first of all, we're getting Performer Pal Hip Hippo, which of course is one of Yuya's kind of main normal summons, that isn't very good, it's a double summon, technically, it's like an Atlantean Heavy Infantry, but not very good, so no one's going to really run it. We have Performer Pal, Silver Claw, and actually decent Performer Pal, right? Decent stat line. The image does some weird things with the layout. That's kind of not too great with Pendulum Effect. All Performer Pals you control gain 300, which is fine. It's not the best. And again, if it declares an attack, all Performer Pals gain 300. So it's okay, not overly great, but for a level 4, for just throwing in your deck, it's not the worst card in the world. Then we have Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon. So I thought they'd put this in a structure deck, right? I thought they would have this as be kind of like the cover card of a structure deck and have some of the Magician cards in it. But no, they're giving us this, and this is fine. This is a really cool upgrade to Odd Eyes that doesn't really revolve around Pendulum Summoning. So you can tribute it by tributing one level 5 or higher monster, so not even Odd Eyes, you just, go over a Cyber Dragon and get this. And if it is tribute summoned, you can pop one card your opponent controls and then burn them for half their attack, which is not too bad actually. Like that's not terrible. And also, when it destroys a monster by battle, you can special level 5 or higher monster through hand or graveyard in defense mode, so you can then get out another Odd Eyes. And really, you would kind of go for this, maybe summon out another level 8, go for a rank 8 Xyz, but with no main phase 2, it's not really doing much. So I can understand why they give us a free-to-play card. It kind of makes sense. Then directly after, we have Performer Pal Gongato, okay. Scale 2 once per turn when a person lets direct attack. You can activate this effect. You take no battle damage, which is cool, once per turn Kiteroid is fine. And then again, with the effect, the monster effect is exactly the same. Okay, so, not the best, right? Like, maybe use it as a low scale, but not the best monster effect, but Pendulum Effect isn't terrible, assuming we were in a battle-heavy meta when we're not really in that. Moving on to another copy of Hip Hippo, so second one, a second Silver Claw, a second Advanced Dragon, a second Gongato, and I assume going to be a second copy, oh, no. So only 3 copies of everything apart from Gongato, which means that Yuya's level 32 reward, when we eventually get it, will be one of this guy. Yeah, not really looking forward to that one, but let's go to the skills, because the skills are where, Arc 5 characters are going to really come into their own. First of all, the default skill, Turning Up the Heat. At the beginning of the duel, add 1 Stargazer and Time Gazer to your extra deck, then if you control, or if you have 2 or less Odd Eyes in your deck, add 1 to your deck. So it's not a blanket giving you 4 copies of Odd Eyes, you have to have a maximum of 3 basically in the deck, which, including this in the skill. Which is fine, right? I feel like they could have gone away with that and just given us 4 Odd Eyes, and you wouldn't run it anyway because it is a very bricky card by itself, I feel like, which is fine. But the big thing is, in addition, if you begin the duel with a deck with no monsters other than Performer Pals, Magician Pendulums, or Odd Eyes monsters, you get Master Rule 3 Pendulums. What the hell? I wasn't even doing anything. Are you serious? Are you serious? Emergency maintenance? Nah, that's... Konami, come on. Really? So where were we? It's been like an hour's worth of emergency maintenance. You get Master Rule 3. And this is really cool because it does then remove some of the restrictions we've had on Pendulums, like imposed by Master Rule 4, but you don't get the extra summons from the extra deck. You're still limited to 1 summon in Duel Links, which is really annoying. I know you just found that out when the game was down, but 1 summon in the extra deck, just immediately any Pendulum skill, is really not as good as you think, because you can't do that blanket 3 summons, get your whole advantage back that you kind of meant to, and really rewards, decks that bounce back to the hand like your Senjus, rather than actual Pendulum decks that, destroy themselves, go to the extra deck, and then you bring it back out. So, it's cool, but not overly, amazing. So let's go on to the brand new, the brand new skills. First of all, swing into action, Pendulum Summon. This is, a generic skill for every character, and it's the Master Rule 3 skill. So, you must have 12 Pendulum monsters, and you get Master Rule 3. That makes sense. This might be, by default, the best skill for Pendulum decks, because you are going to want to play with the extra zones. If you're running Triple Book of Moon, assuming you buy it from the selection box, because it's not in the main box, then you're going to want to have as many zones free for back row as possible. So, this is pretty cool, getting Master Rule 3, but beyond that, it's fine. Smile World is going to be add 1 Smile World to your hand master of your deck. If you activate this skill, you can only activate or use the effect Smile World spell trap card until the end of your opponent's next turn. Okay, so we thought, when this was leaked, there might be a Lucky Loam kind of card, but it's not, it's way worse. You're not going to use this, just kind of ignore it. Perform Power Carnival. The attack of all Perform Power monsters on the field is increased by 100 for every Perform Power on the field. It's the Call the Magician Girl skill. For Perform Powers, it's fine. A Tie That Binds, but you have Tie That Binds, which is kind of the same, so I think you'd rather play Tie That Binds, I guess, rather than Carnival. This one's going to be buffed, right? 100% this one will be buffed to 200 or something at some point, because this isn't all that great. Pendulum Shuffle. This is a Yuya-only skill, can be used if you have 2 cards in your Pendulum Zones and 2 more face-up Pendulum monsters in your extra deck. Place all cards in your Pendulum Zones face-up on the extra deck, then place your Pendulum Zones 2 random face-up Pendulum monsters from your extra deck. Huh. Of course there's some RNG there, so if you do have, equal scales, you might get kind of screwed, but that's a really fun skill for trying to extend your plays and maybe reuse a card that's in your scale. You kind of want it in your extra deck, but you have no ways to pop it. This isn't terrible, and it's a once per duel skill, so sure, makes sense, but that's not terrible. But again, it is just the whole once per turn from the extra deck thing is not very good. Pendulum Gauges, here's the big one. Well, the one that I think is going to be big. So, at the beginning of the duel, add a Pendulum Zone to your field, so Master Rule 3. In addition, the following effect can be used once on turn 3 and onward if you have a Stargazer or Time Gazer in your Pendulum Zone. Add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, and is that it? Until the end of the next turn, you cannot summon or the card you added to your hand by the skill with a card, or a card with the same name, except for Pendulum Summoning, and you cannot use their effects, and you must have 9 or more Yuya cards. God, after that Onomat nerf, this is just, this is terrible, right? The fact you can't use the monster effect is really big. I guess you can still scale it, but you can't activate the Pendulum effect either then? Okay. No, prior to the world releasing, nowhere near as good as I thought it was going to be, but okay, that just seems a bit lackluster. Odd Eyes Evolution, which, yeah, this is exactly what kind of expected, can be used on your turn by revealing 1 Pendulum card in your hand, while you have no cards in your Pendulum Zones. Change one monster whose name is Odd Eyes Dragon to Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and add Master Rule 3. Wait, does that add at the start of the duel or not? Because if it's during the middle of the duel, you just randomly get Master Rule 3. That's kind of fun, but I assume start of the duel, right? These are all really cool, all the Pendulum characters getting Master Rule 3. And it makes sense, right? Because that's the world they're from, that's kind of the bonus you get for having them, rather than any super duper bonkers consistency skill. Fusion or Advent can be used by returning Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon in your Pendulum Zone and 1 Poly Ritual spell card in your hand to your deck. Then, depending on the card you returned, you can add one of the following cards from out of your deck to your hand, either Odd Eyes Fusion or Odd Eyes Advent. Oh, okay. And of course you must have a Yuya themed deck, which this just isn't great, right? Because really you're going to want to use Odd Eyes, right? To do this. For both of these. We don't have the ritual monster, sorry, for this. We don't have Gravity Dragon. Or Vortex. But this doesn't seem all that great. Just the fact you're bouncing back Odd Eyes into the deck, and then you're gonna have to have Odd Eyes in your hand, or other cards in your hand in your extra deck to actually use. Ooh. Unless I'm missing something, this doesn't seem to be all that great. And that's kind of the thing here, is that a lot of these just sound not that great, but the big thing is, again, that Master Rule 3 zone. Extra balloons. Can be used once per turn. Place a balloon counter on wonder balloons. That's fun. That's funny, because that means every turn you're going to be getting a counter on this, reduce it by 300. And it's a very old box card, so that's really fun. Dual Taining Stage Change. Can be used if you have 2,000 less life points, and if you have 2 cards in your Pendulum Zones that either perform powers, magicians, or odd eyes. Slay 1 card in your Pendulum Zone, place it face up in your extra deck, then place 1 Pendulum Monster in your Monster Zone whose original name is Perform Power, Magician, or Odd Eyes to your Pendulum Zone. So this one, instead of going from the extra deck to the thing, it's going from the main Monster Zone to the Pendulum Scale. Okay, can't think of anything there that's kind of needed, but sure. 2k less life points is pretty annoying though, so this won't see play. And finally, Dual Taining Recast can be used if you control 3 Pendulum Monsters with different levels. Add all monsters in your Monster Zone to the extra deck, then play Perform Power Pendulum Monsters, Magicians, or Ice Pendulum Monsters that can be normal summoned from your hand with a combined level equal to the sum of the original levels you added to your extra deck. Once per duel. This one isn't so bad, because this is basically a Pendulum Summon if you have a full board already. And it's only a full board as well, it's only a full board. But then with the rules we know of Master Rule, like I'm just gonna go back to the Pendulum Summoning tutorial. Like, is it in here? Can I see in here that, like, the dual column maybe that talks about Pendulum? Pendulum Summoning, because no, it's not. But like, even with Pendulum Summoning, if you can only summon 1 back from the extra deck every turn, then that's like, all these skills just kind of become really bad, because those 3 cards that you're putting back into the extra deck, you haven't got access to for a maximum 3 turns. Maybe you don't need it, right? Maybe you're trying to summon a big boss monster from your field, but yeah. Well, no, not big boss, because it's all Perform Power, right? It's all Perform Power, Magician, and Odd Eyes. Huh. Well, Yuya as a character, I mean, reward card-wise was okay-ish, right? Skill-wise, there's some really cool things in here. But again, it's going to come down to how good the Pendulum Summoning mechanic is, and how it all 100% works. Of course, we haven't been able to test them yet. How it all works in the game, whether it is truly limited, or whether it's, you know, only if you use the skills, or whatever. So, yeah, let me know down below what you think of Odd Eyes, of Yuya, Sakaki, and Duel Links. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.